Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the House of Steel. We are thrilled to have you with us today. We're very excited today to be having a conversation um, about pups, and that will be led by our own, and I'm a little biased, favorite pup, and that would be Puff Spliffy, also known to you all as my beta boy. Um, Today's segment is produced and directed by Alpha Boy Ogun, who I'm going to throw in here real quick to say hello. Hello, Ogun. Just came back from a trip, got off the road, dropped his bags, and ran to do this segment. So thank you so much, Boy Ogun, for all of your excellent work. And we'll pick Boy Ogun back up toward the end of the day. But first, just want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. And if you're watching a rebroadcast, we also thank you for joining us as well. That's very important. Switchblade, how are you today?
Hello, sir. Hello, world. I am well. It's Sunday. It was a little bit of a day yesterday. Got randomly called in to do a quick go-go boy dancing, so had to go drop it down for a few dollars, and definitely made a few dollars. Shout out to Rock Bar. Shout out to Urban Bear. Thank you for the Christmas gift that at least two people are gonna get. So my knees hurt, my back hurts, my hips hurt, but it's all for the children, right? It is a beautiful weekend. I'm so excited to be here, to be on this side of the camera. I feel like it's been a while since I've been on this side of the camera.
It has.
So excited to be here with you. I'm excited to talk about a little bit about pup play, pet play, and hopefully give you all a little of what I've come to love about being a pup and this wonderful world of pup play.
Wonderful. So thank you. And, Switch, we wanted to take a little bit of time to get to learn a little bit about you. And so what we are going to do today is play a round of speed dating with Boy Switchblade and Puff Spliffy. It's the first time we've had two guests at speed dating, and your lovely blur has rendered that your hood invisible. There we are. There is Spliffy. He is not here today because Spliffy is technically a bad, sadistic dog, but we love him more because of that, I think. So let's jump right into this speed dating. Okay, we'll start you off with an easy one. Favorite Christmas movie?
Ooh, favorite Christmas movie has to be The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Excellent. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Was with Boy Bakari in Primark, and they have the Night Before Christmas onesies.
Oh,
and I was like, I want that so badly, and I was like, I'm not here to spend money for me. And then they had Bert and Ernie onesies, and I was like, oh my God, you have to be Ernie, and I have to be Bert, even though Ernie was always my favorite. Okay.
The gay couple that we didn't know we needed growing up. The roommates.
Yeah. Separate beds, just like I Love Lucy and
Interesting, but that's for a whole nother chat.
Because Bert and Ernie probably had a whole other room full of stuff.
Oh, there was a red room. There was absolutely a red room.
A red room. And the Day's Kink was brought to you by the letter CBP. Okay. Go-to karaoke song.
Ooh, I am the Eye of the Tiger.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It builds. It's a good range. It's a good belt. It gets the audience hyped. I mean, if you log on to any media today, it would be Cynthia's Defying Gravity, which will hold space for her lyrics later. I promise you, we'll hold space for those lyrics later. But no, definitely, that's 100% easy.
And Because I'm old and out of date and have only been watching college football for the last 2 weeks, catching up on everything I missed. When you say Cynthia, you mean Arivo, and
Yes.
you're talking Wicked.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I'm sure some folks may have gotten this trend of people holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen the musical. Um,
Uh,
Even though I'm a Broadway lover, but had never seen
uh,
Wicked, and always wanted to because, especially when it first came out. I mean, Kristen Chenoweth, Idina Menzel,
uh,
just amazing. Um, but okay, question 3: what are your top 3 kinks?
my top three kinks. I don't know if you've all seen me wear a lot of this lovely color yellow, but definitely water sports isn't up there. Flogging, impact. You have all seen me hit a few people, get hit a few times. Love that. And flogging and then impact sensory play, I will separate. So even though, yes, all can kind of go into one, but I will separate those into two. But one that I'm very much loving as a Dom is Electro, as long as it doesn't touch me.
Uh, well, I would definitely separate sensory from
Mm.
um, impact. But yeah, you do love electro. Um, well, let me say, Spliffy loves electro, um, and is a bad dog when it comes to that, as he tried to bury my bone in electricity in an electro CBT session. That little bastard. What up, Reese? Okay. What is your favorite all time favorite video game system? And what
Oh,
is your favorite game from that system?
Nintendo family, 100%. And it is
Which one?
that's not fair.
Which
I
one?
have two. Which gaming system
Which
itself? Ooh,
gaming system?
Nintendo 64. It
Before.
the graphics, the games, it just leveled up so well. I mean, my
Can
favorite
I guess the
Zelda.
game? I was gonna say Zelda. Yeah.
Yep, Area of Time, 110%. I've played that game 972 million times. But yeah, anything Nintendo has always been. I've wanted to do PlayStation. I tried to get into PlayStation. Shout out to Kingdom Hearts. Shout out to Final Fantasy. But it just it never stuck. So Nintendo has always been. I have 17 consoles in this house somewhere, which is sad.
The thought of any fantasy being final hurts my feelings, so I couldn't get into that.
You know,
Um, I mean, I go way back to Castlevania as my favorite game. And a kick-ass Netflix show as well. Um, Next question: if they stopped making Coca-Cola, I know they haven't, so don't jump. What would be your new go-to beverage?
I mean, Pepsi's always a second runner-up. When you're asked at a restaurant, is Pepsi okay? It will always be no, but sure. So definitely Pepsi.
Oh, uh, my poor apprentice. I'm gonna have to take him back. Ironheart, next time you're here, I have the vintage Castlevania on my Switch.
Ooh,
And so we're gonna have to play.
there you
Um,
go.
um,
Classic game. Classic game.
Another two-parter, so don't jump the gun. Who is your favorite Disney villain? A. And B, who is your favorite Disney villain sidekick?
Ooh.
They don't have to
They
be.
don't have to be the same. Okay, perfect. Favorite Disney villain, because technically he is the villain, is Bruno from Encanto.
Mm.
He was deemed the villain. So I am very much, I can relate to a Bruno being demonized in families, unfortunately. But favorite sidekick? Oh, it has to be the parrot. Oh, wait,
Iago.
no. Iago, yes, it has to be Iago. Well, it's a close-up between Iago and definitely Mushu is it's the comedic relief. I don't know which one's funnier. But I'm gonna say the parrot.
My favorite villain is Scar, but my favorite sidekick, or the villain in I can't think of his name now, but in The Princess and the Frog was amazing.
Oh yes,
He was amazing.
Yes,
But
but hey, shout out to Scar. They're getting a backstory now. Mufasa's coming out.
No, but I love Scar.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite sidekick is definitely Krunk from The Emperor's New Groove. He should have had his own movie. When he was talking to that squirrel, you can absolutely forget it. There's nothing better than that. That's great TV. Okay, so what do you prefer? Boxer briefs, jocks, or commando?
Oh, commando, easily.
Well done, my son. Which do you prefer to be? The big or the little spoon?
Complicated question. Both.
People are hanging on to this answer. So in the replays, this will be most replayed.
It depends. I mean, I love both. You know, who doesn't love to be a little spoon? But I guess because of my bigness, if you will, I default to being the big spoon. So
this isn't what people make you. This is what you.
I would prefer to always be the little spoon. Hold me close. Let me be the body pillow you need.
And that's an especially intriguing answer since we know you're spooning commando.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so Christmas is coming. What is the most meaningful or special, heartwarming, touching, most memorable gift you've ever received?
Ooh, ever received. Ever received. I did get the Nintendo 64 for Christmas. That was a big Christmas for me. That definitely was a big Christmas for me. Yeah, I'll go with that one. That was a good childhood one.
Okay, very good, very good. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I'll see you in like 56 days. If you've never been, please, it is a beautiful, beautiful little town on the beach that they are wonderful. The food, just 50 cents tacos at 3 a.m. is amazing.
Even without the horror event.
Yes, I've been there without the horror event. I've completely been there. Shout out to Beef Dip. I've been there without Beef Dip. And it's still just it's safe. It's welcoming. Everybody is wonderful. Shout out to my tattoo artist. I get a tattoo every year when I'm down there. That is my place. Otherwise, it would be Puerto Rico because that's just home.
And shout out to Beef Dip. Please, nobody think I'm insulting Beef Dip by calling it a horror event. That is me giving it the highest praise I could muster. As one of my vanilla friends always says, I never take vacations. I only take kinkcations because I'm a whore. So shout out to Beef Dip. Learn to read. If you could have one night of kinky fun with any famous person, who would it be? Part 2, what kink would it be? Part 3, would you be the top or bottom in that kink?
Idris Elba, sensory play, the bottom. That's that voice alone. That's the sense.
And you said you would be bottom?
Yes, 110%.
I want to hear him scream in that accent.
Yes, and.
I want to hear him scream in that accent. This isn't about me. If you had to choose one song to lip sync for your life, which song would it be? For your life.
For my life, that I have to give a full-on performance.
Loser is on my St. Andrew's cross with no limitations to what I can do. Which is a better question and something I'm gonna have to put in my little brain for later.
Bonnie Tyler's "I Need a Hero."
Bonnie Tyler, all right.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting good old school, and I forgive my name to Nisha Aman's mother, who dropped from the ceiling into the splits doing her Miss Continental pageant. That is the type of performance I will be dropping from ceilings. Or Shrek 2, yes, or Shrek 2. I mean, obviously, I'll be the fairy godmother, but the original, that is where my inspirations come from. I'm dropping from ceilings.
First of all, love Jennifer Saunders going all the way back to Absolutely Fabulous and all the work that she did with, oh my goodness, now I can't remember the actress that, Vicar of Dibley, she was in so many things. French and Saunders, Dawn French.
Yes, okay.
So shout out to Jennifer Saunders, but her version cannot top Bonnie Tyler getting hoarse in the middle of the song and continuing to belt it. You're going to make me listen to that song today. I need a hero today. All right. Mm-hmm. Who is your favorite Pokemon?
Charmander.
And are you team Rocket or are you Ash and the cornies?
See, that's two sides of the same coin. The corn, dear Lord. No candy corn, no Bakari. Shout out to Bakari. Absolutely no candy corn will be used in any of this production. It's two sides of the same coin. I'll always be Ash. I will always try to be the good-hearted Pokemon master.
My favorite and the only correct answer to that question is Jigglypuff. Absolutely the cutest, the only one with the theme song. And the fact that he gets angry and then writes on your face, come on. There was also a colleague of mine who we affectionately named Jigglybutt because she had an enormous, like, her top was an 8 and her bottom was like an 18. Like, it was ridiculous. And every time that she would come walking up, one of us would sing under our breath, Jigglypuff, Jiggly, and we'd fall out.
And this is why we have HR.
And this is why.
This is why we whisper.
This is why we whisper. I never wrote on anyone unless they asked me to, and they were humiliating terms of degradation.
Ooh, come on, Jigglypuff Kink. Let's start this.
Come on, whore. Well, speaking of songs and whores, what is your favorite song to have sex to? What sets the mood?
Ooh, what sets the mood? Rihanna, Needed Me.
Okay. Okay. I want to say hello to my friend Trevor, who just popped in. What's up, Trevor? Thank you for joining us. Okay. I'm going to ask another question because I don't know if everyone knows the answer to this, and it's important. Reese, that Reese is a funny person. Stop taking notes. So I'm going to ask a shady question, and then I'm going to ask a real question, and then we'll get to your last question and your excellent presentation. Who is your favorite member of the House of Steel, and why is it Reese?
The running joke of being one of Reese's Pieces. My favorite person in the House of Steel is 110% Alpha Pup Zeus. Sorry, my brothers. I love you all dearly. However, that dog has a special place in my heart. I will always have an amazing image of when I was living with you, sir, and Zeus had to go under anesthesia and came home and just was this pile of pudding.
Yeah.
just nothing, but had no, just wanted to be on a leg and just be there for hours, and just looking into that pup's eyes, like he won my heart. So I love my brothers, sir. I love you dearly, but that Zeus has.
Well, first of all, that is the only correct answer. You'll never go wrong saying Zeus. Zeus is clearly my favorite anything. And so that is correct. And we're talking about pups, so it's also a good answer. I will also say I also came home a pile of pudding from having paid for the surgery that he had anesthesia, and you only paid attention to the dog and not the fact that I was rationing saltine crackers for the next month until insurance paid me back. But that's not the point. Second to last question. I know, clearly, Zeus is your dog. So, and hey, Call. But the next question, which Hogwarts house are you a member of? Would you be a member?
The always controversial question in our own house, a house divided. I am Gryffindor. Yes, I am Gryffindor.
All right. I don't mean to cut you. I don't mean to cut you off.
I'm gonna let you finish, but
there's obviously some static in the connection. I'll give you a moment to get that together while I say hello to my brother Jewel. What's up, Jewel? Love you. Thanks for joining us. There's only one correct answer. Our house colors reflected. So we will move on. Last question. Which would you prefer? To be bound to a St. Andrew's cross for consensual torture as a boy, or to be leashed and restrained for consensual torture as a pup?
Yikes. As a boy.
Very good.
As a boy. I've spoken about this, I think, somewhat freely. Leashes have never been an interest to me, and I appreciate those that are leashed, and I've been handed a leash before and loved walking around with a beautiful pup. Hey, Jolteon. So as a boy.
Very good. When I came up with that question, I thought you would say as a boy, because there's very little submissive about Spliffy. Was what I was thinking. But that was speed dating with Switchblade. So now y'all know a little about him. So if you want to come at him correctly. Remember, it requires my permission. So come at me correctly. And we don't allow Gryffindors and Ravenclaws or Hufflepuffs. Jigglypuffs, yes. Hufflepuffs, no. To play with the House of Steel. But with that said, thank you all so much for paying attention to that portion of the program. I am going to turn things over now to Boy Switchblade to present his presentation from Leather Dog to Pup, a quick history.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you all so much again for joining us. It's so nice to get to know you all if you don't know much about me. So I am Boy Switchblade. I use he, him, and L pronouns. By day, I am a sexual health warrior. By night, I am a leather boy, a pup, a kinkster, a dom, a handler, and all the other things that we could say. So I wanted to give you all a history and kind of some context and research that I have done in my journey of being a pup. So some things are definitely from research and some things are definitely from my point of view. So as a disclaimer, it reflects common beliefs, practices as pet play. As I've observed them and researched them, it is not meant to dictate how anyone is to play. Everyone tends to practice play in their own way. So please do it well, do it consensually, do it safely. And again, hopefully you can take some of this information and learn a little bit about pups, pets, and everything under this umbrella. So let us get started. So the umbrella term, what is pet play? So pet play is a role in which the focus is on the sub, centering around an altered mind state, often as a species of a dog, a cat. We've heard horses. We've heard other animals that are out there that people identify, and often it's related to BDSM. Started off as pups, but several varieties are included and have kind of grown and evolved out of pet play. So kittens and cats, wolves, horse pony play. Shout out to HBO a long time ago with the Real Sex series. First thing I learned about horse play, I was probably all of 13, 14. It was like, wow, this is really cool. And here I am X amount of years later doing some of the kinky stuff they taught us. So shout out to them. So pet play can be described as pets who enjoy the experience of what's called the headspace of their animals of choice, setting aside the challenges and complexities of the human life and embracing the simplicity of the mindset of a pet. And I definitely can identify in regards to this. As I mentioned, the sexual health warrior by day is definitely a more domineering. It is a more action, more assertive individual. Whereas when I get into spliffy mode in a kink space, sadistic puppy, but most of the time I'm just a cuddly pup that just wants is a big old staffy. That is a breed that I identify on. I swear I'm a lap dog, even though I'm all of 200 and X pounds, but I will find a lap and totally get comfortable in there. So again, there is definitely different mind states. There's definitely altered states. But in regards to the idea of pet play, it's getting in that headspace of the pet or species that we identify as. Shout out to bunnies. Bunnies are definitely on a rise, and their species joke alone about bunnies multiplying. So there will be bunnies taking over the kink community probably in the next 7.5 months. So what is pup play? So a form of role playing that draws inspiration from puppy behavior. As mentioned, we have good old Spliffy right over here. For those that know how Spliffy came around, or if you're at any events that you've been around Switchblade and Spliffy, you will know where the name comes from. Despite its increasing popularity and visibility, pet play has been around for quite some time, early forms being observed well into 1900s. So while we are going back into history, we are seeing more forms of pet play that are out there. So it stems from aspects of sub-slave collars on all four, listening to commands, but can be separated from sub-slave culture by several aspects, may or may not be owned, may or not be in service mind frame. And shout out to the OG name of a pup was known as a leather dog. There are individuals that identify as dogs, as pups, but way back when, very beginning on, people were looked at as the leather dog. The form of the pet play scene today took shape around the same time as the dawn of the early leather scene, but it is debate whether pet play technically falls under the leather umbrella. For the purpose of this, I say part of leather culture as well. Shout out to all of the spaces that are including pups. Shout out to all the contests that have pet titles. We appreciate the visibility whenever there is the space for it. So I mentioned headspace. So for those that don't know or that might be new, headspace is an important part of the pet community, but can be hard to understand without experiencing it firsthand. Broadly, it's a state of mind that differs from one normal state of mind. So when I am in pup mode, I am not worrying about my job. I am not worrying about family. I am probably worrying about this lovely tennis ball that is getting thrown I'm running to get it. I'm bringing it back. I love a good game of fetch. I love a good bone. Boom. But in that mindset, as a normal person, I'll play with a tennis ball because, neurodivergence, and we love a good fidget toy. But when I'm in pup headspace, I want to play fetch. So in pup play, headspace is a state of mind where the pet sets aside their human thoughts. As mentioned, it can be referred to as pet headspace or pet space as another name. More about headspace. One of the more fascinating things about headspace is how they can lead to changes in one's experience them, including how a person speaks, thinks, moves, or even values things. In some cases, those changes can be very dramatic. In other cases, they can be subtle. Everyone experiences headspace differently. Enjoy your headspace. Find your headspace. When I found my headspace in pup play, it's absolutely wonderful. My whole body wags. If I had a longer tail, but as a staffy, I probably got a little nub going on. It's shaking like nobody's business. That's when I know pup mode is in full activation. So if you ever see me just kind of doing the wiggles, know that I am in full pup mode right in front of you. So looking at pet roles, when some pet players introduce themselves, they may describe their role to the community. It can distinguish different types of pet players and their power dynamics in the community. So like in our hierarchy, sir, boy, master, slave, dom, sub, the same can apply into pep roles. So we'll talk about those pep roles as well. Among the most popular roles, pups, kittens, there's handlers, trainers. Some but not all dynamics follow the BDSM, dominant submissive, DS model. This is often seen in pet play when observing pet play dynamics such as handler pup or alpha beta. I'll go through some of those and kind of give descriptions, which can be inherent power structures, but not all those in pet plays would adapt such dynamics. In fact, some dynamics don't include a power exchange. Those involved may see each other as equals, and that's totally okay. Again, every dynamic is different. The structure that dynamic has been negotiated, has been discussed, has been cultivated, and should be celebrated. So the most common role in pet play is a pet or someone who enjoys the experience of the pet headspace, when arguably the most common form of pet play is pup. Pets can be embodied the headspace of any animals. They are kittens, bunnies. We do have others that are not commonly out there. Shout out to kangaroos that we've heard people identify as. Again, we want to leave space for all. Many pets participate in a part of a pack or have an owner, handler, or trainer, but some have either or choose to be independently, commonly referred to as a stray pet. Looking at service pets, so the identification of a service pet is typically categorized by their dedication to serving the community, making sure that fellow pet and pet lovers are enjoying themselves, especially at pet play-oriented events, and or the role fluidity that accomplishing these goals often requires. So most individuals that are title holders or pet title holders, you will find that individuals are of the service. They want to give back to the community. They want to help the community thrive. So we shout out to all the service pets that are out there that are making sure that our spaces are safe and that we have the availability to be in full pup headspace in these places or pet headspace because we have these wonderful individuals protecting that space. So we shout out to you. Service pets tend to adapt on the fly and accomplish these goals, switching roles as needed, and even switching between multiple roles in a single situation. I identify as a switch. In many aspects, I identify as a switch. I can definitely relate to this idea of being quick thinking. I can possibly be in a headspace of pup play, but then noticing that something might be going on in another part of the pet play scene that's happening. I may then come out of my pup headspace and more go into protector mode, maybe seen as an alpha or maybe be coming out of pup play completely and getting into more handler or trainer mode. Again, that fluidity depends on the circumstance for me. Not everybody has that ability to switch, and that is okay. I think that's the wonderful part of having identified roles. So we can look to these individuals when we are in these situations to feel a safe space or to have direction to go with. So for me, I have that ability to switch. And again, for those that don't, we want you to be in the best headspace for your play. Or if you're a trainer or handler, we want to make sure that we are protecting the space. So speaking of handlers, other participants in pet play tend to play more dominant roles in the space, such as handlers and trainers, and may or may not enter a headspace of their own as part of the participation. Handlers are responsible for the safety and care of pets, just like All D types are in charge of the safety and care of their subtypes. They often do not identify as animals or may not experience headspace like pets when acting as a handler, but behave like owners or caregivers for the pet. A handler may have one or more pets. A community handler who cares for pets during events. So if you look at marshes, we'll talk about what marshes are. We tend to have monitors of the marshes. We can look at those individuals as community handlers as well. Looking at trainers, trainers like handlers are a form of dominant, but trainers differ in that a trainer may not collar or assume ownership over any pets of their own. Similarly to how a family may take the family dog to a trainer to learn how to sit, lay down, the same can be applied. This would be an individual that teaches concepts like discipline, commands, and the occasional tricks. Again, love a good throwing of the ball, throw a good treat on that nose. I will stay and love a good Scooby snack whenever possible. Looking at furries, so I want to make sure that there's an understanding in regards to the difference of furries, of pups, of pets. So remember, what is the difference? While there are some overlap with regard to the animalistic nature of pet play and between those who are pets and those who are furries, pets and furries are not the same. The difference, some key differences, pets are humans who like to embody the traits of an animal, whereas furries are an animal who like to embody the traits of a human. So as you can see on the picture, lovely, amazing furry play that is happening here. When you put it that way, pets are almost like the opposite of furries, but it is all love.
Switch.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about how you came to identify as a pup?
Ooh, sure. So my journey was different. I never thought I would identify as a pup. I always thought I might have been maybe a handler or a trainer. I loved pups. I loved being around pups. I never thought I would identify as a pup. I had some really strong ideas of putting on that hood and what that might make me feel. It wasn't until I tried a hood that I realized, oh, I like this. Oh, I really like this. It provides such a safety. It provides such a focusing for me. And it allows me to really get into that headspace comfortably and safely. So once I put on the first hood before I found Spliffy and learned who Spliffy was and what breed I was, the first hood that I had, it didn't really fit. It was kind of tight, but it gave me that experience of feeling like, oh, it's not so scary to go into the hood. I think initially I was scared to go into the hood. One, probably was scared I was going to like it. But two, probably because a lot of the stigma or misinformation or, just negative things talked about when putting on the hood. So if you have interest of being a pup or you want to know, obviously that's why we do talks like this. Obviously, when we're out in the community, we want to provide safe spaces to try things. If you feel like you are in a safe space to put on a hood, put on a hood. And enjoy it and embrace it as much as you can. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But again, if it's not for you, then make sure that if you are in a space where it is for those of us that enjoy it, let's make sure we still provide those safe spaces and celebrate them whenever possible. So thank you for that question, sir. So moving along. So what also I think wonderful question that kind of leads into it is, what are the benefits or what are the feelings or what are the attributes of getting into pet play, pup play specifically for me? So while it can involve sexual pleasure, that doesn't have to be the sole focus, and it is definitely not mandatory. Activities include wearing pup play gear, obedience training, playing with toys and other pups. Some associate pup play with bestiality or sexual intentions, but it is entirely consensual and respectful. There is no cruel or harmful behavior unless explicitly negotiated beforehand. As stated earlier, there's no right way to enjoy pup play. However, many choose to incorporate some level of sexuality into their practice. For me, I think with Spliffy being a dominant sadistic pup, that's different from a sexual nature. For me, in that headspace of being in a pup mode, I don't see any issue or problem for myself being involved in sex while hooded. I think it's just another level of sexuality that we have. But some people have it completely removed. Some people have incorporated. Again, depending on how this is for you, make it good for you. It's pleasure for you. So enjoy it, embrace it. Looking at social interactions, so pups may choose to integrate pack dynamics into their relationships with other pets. Simply put, a pack is a formally established group of pets similar to a chosen family. While members of a pack tend to establish formal in-pack roles for themselves, as mentioned before, there is no one way to establish a pack, nor is one obligated to start a pack to be part of a pack. One can be independent, stray, or solo. Is definitely a choice, and everyone is allowed their choices because this is their play. So kind of talking about that alpha beta. So as mentioned, I am beta boy. Shout out to Alpha Boy Ogun, who is in the background producing to us. Same can be seen in a pet play dynamic. We have alpha and betas. So the alpha, the leader of the pack, are dominant members of the pack. Pets in their other roles look up to the alpha, respect their authority, and turn to the alpha for care of their betas, deltas, omegas, and so forth. Betas can be thought as second in command in the pack hierarchy. They acknowledge the alpha as the dominant and the deltas and omegas as their submissives. Sometimes a beta will step in to lead the pack while the alpha is away. Sound familiar? Always a pleasure to step into the fabulous 6-inch platform shoes of Alpha Boy Ogun when he is not around to be Alpha Boy. But Lord knows those Jimmy shoes, they are hard shoes to fill. So shout out to AB. Looking at moshes, so I had mentioned moshes before. We are seeing a lot of moshes at community events, pet nights, at bar nights. So moshes are social events similar to taking a dog to the dog park, where pets can play with one another as well as their handlers, owners, and trainers. It's common to see pet play with toys. Again, love a good ball, love a good leather. Sir gave me a pat on the nose before. Those that were at, shout out to Keystone Leather Weekend last year when the pack destroyed during our mosh, destroyed this lovely squeak toy. I will not squeak it because some of you that have live animals at home may be a little agitated, so I will not do that today. Handlers, trainers, and those more supportive roles tend to be responsible for making sure that pets are playing safely and nicely with each other, intervening when necessary to ensure everyone involved is having a good and safe time. Private spaces, homes, venues, catering to the kink community, they tend to be in, can be outdoors, can be indoors. Shout out to all the places that make safe places for moshes. We appreciate the ability and the spaces to be our pup and pet selves. Some of the benefits, as mentioned about pet play in specific, the idea of escapism and stress relief. So pup play allows participants to escape daily pressures and embrace a carefree, playful mindset. The bond strengthening for handler pup or any pet dynamic, it deepens the bond and intimacy, fostering trust. Trust is huge in these relationships and these dynamics, just like every dynamic out there. Sense of community definitely provides a sense of belonging within community. Body positivity, the community embraces body acceptance, promoting a safe space for all identities. And creativity, crafting personas, designing gear, exploring role play scenarios. And this all encourages creativity, and we are definitely a creative group. We can definitely be proud of that. Looking at some kind of the hoods and accessories. So when you envision pets or pet play, chances are you envision one or more people wearing items that help them appear more pet-like, such as hood, tails, paws. These items are commonly referred as gear. Despite this, it's important to recognize that you don't need to own gear to participate in pet play. You will see the spectrum of hoods, of collars, of hooves, of tails, of ears, of noses, of everything that's out there. However you express your pet or pup persona, we definitely want to celebrate that. So while gear can help pets enter and enjoy or even leave their headspace, the more important part of pet play is the state of mind. Don't feel pressured to spend hundreds of dollars on gear if you are not sure if you like pet play. After all, gear can be quite expensive. In fact, it might be easier to start with an inexpensive gear. We want to make sure that it's affordable to you and that you can enjoy it. You don't have to break the bank in order to do that. I see a question. What is my favorite element of pet play? My favorite element has to be, my favorite element has to be The belly scratches, the ear scratches, the idea of being loved on. I love touch. I am a touch person, whether I am Switchblade or Spliffy. I love the idea of touch, a hug, a belly rub, an ear scratch, a head pat, anything that involves touch. I think it is so healing. And for me, I think when I'm in pup play, that's my part of my subconscious needed healing from the outside world. So the more love on that I could have as Spliffy, I think the better that heals my soul. Shout out to IMSO last year, where I got to be in full pup mode around all these amazing people and just being able to run around like a wonderful pup that I was. So when we have that, we definitely have the safety to be in more of those headspaces. So some examples of hoods and accessories. So hoods, obviously we have neoprene, we have fabric for tails. There are plugs that go inside some orifices or orifici, if you will. Those that go on your belt. Other things such as hand mitts. So this way when you're on the mat, you don't have to worry about anything going on with your knuckles. Because sometimes mats aren't always available. So concrete and knuckles are definitely not always wonderful. And collars. Collars are a very special meaning. I mean, obviously to any D-sub relationship, I am a collared boy. And to pets that are out there, some can be collared, some can be self-collared, meaning that they have a name tag and a collar. Does not necessarily mean that they are collared to someone. So I will go more into the collaring. But I do see questions, so I'm going to get to these real quick. If there was one piece of gear to start with, what do I recommend? That is a good question. I would say it depends on the persona that you are identifying with. For me, my choice and what was really going to get me into the headspace or get me into wanting to know this persona is a hood. That was the easiest one for me, I think. If you are a cat, ear mittens, some beautiful little ears, some whiskered noses are things. If you are a horse, some muzzles, or I apologize not remembering the name of what they are. Believe they are muzzles of some sort, but anything that will help you discover your persona or bring out the natural persona that is inside of you, I would recommend getting. Again, if it's a squeak toy, if that noise turns you on, then that could be something that you can use reminding yourself. But for me, it was definitely my hood. That really gets me into that persona and that space. There was another question, I believe. What is my favorite benefit of pet play? I think there's so many. I love them all, but I think for me, the escapism is a big part of it. I get to be this cuddly, sadistic pup that can go around loving on people whenever possible, and I can leave some of Switchblade's or my outside world personas, cares and worries out for those few minutes. So those are definitely my favorite. That is definitely my favorite aspect of pet play. And absolutely shout out to the 99-cent stores, or more so the dollar more stores, because not good 99-cent stores, hard to find these days. But you can find anything at Dollar Tree, Family Dollar. There's kinkery everywhere. You will find anything that you need. You do not need to spend the bank. So as we are wrapping up, as I mentioned, kind of the idea of collars. So collars can hold significance in the world of pet play. Collars tend to be used to signify that a given pet has a formal dominant of some kind. To collar a pet is to establish a formal relationship with the pet, similar to how one might formally establish a dom-sub relationship. With that said, collaring doesn't necessarily have to include a romantic connection or component. It all depends on the participants in the collaring have decided what best fits their needs or desires. In high leather protocols, it should just be expected that one does not engage with a collared pet without first consulting with their handler, owner, or collaring dominant, or the pet themselves. Collars may include a tag specifying who a pet belongs to, or the pet might tell you in some way. With consent of the pet, checking such tags can quickly help distinguish what kind of collar the pet is wearing and who to talk with, if anyone, before engaging with the pet further. Self-collaring or the practicing of pets buying, making, or wearing their own collars can mean different things to different people. So for some, it may simply be an aesthetic choice for pets that doesn't have a handler. For others, self-collaring may be symbolic. For example, a pup may self-collar to make a statement that they are taking ownership of themselves and their lives, going through the hardships in life, such as a bad breakup. And again, that idea to have ownership or to be self or independent. Moving quickly to contests. So shout out to all the contests that are out there that have incorporated pets titles into them. There could be different types. There is just pet contest or titles. There could be pet and handler titles. For example, there's the bar or local. Shout out to the pup, Woods Pup. There are state titles. Shout out to Keystone Pet. Shout out to other state title pets that they're out there. Regional titles, Northeast Pet Handler, for example. Shout out to Bard, who is the current. Shout out to you. And international, we have the International Pet and Trainer Contest. And if you love a good totem, love a good Pup Rusty on the top, love a good Pup Rescue on the bottom. I had the chance to be in wonderful spaces with these amazing holders. And shout out to Pup Yellow over there, who is Mr. New Jersey Leather as Pup Yellow. Shout out to that. Shout out to Iron Pup 2023 bar title. Shout out to you all. Please shout out all the amazing pups and pets in this chat. We want to give flowers to them all. So to kind of wrap up, to get to know us a little bit more, the pets of the House of Steel, you have myself over here, Spliffy. We have Alpha Pup, who is first in command and will always be the right answer to every question. That is Alpha Pup Zeus. We then have the Titus, who is the connoisseur of naps. We also have our lovely Casey and Gigi, or Ginger. So those are the pets of the House of Steel. Love on us whenever possible, whenever you see us. The real pets, those 4 dogs, are the real owners of this house. Sir, I love you, but I think at the end of the day, we all serve those pets on any day that ends with the letter Y. With that being said, I've been doing questions kind of as we go, but I do see that there is another question that I want to get to. So when you're in a pup pet element, when you're enjoying, where you enjoy getting rubs, does that have an impact on consent? That's a really good question. As mentioned in one of the slides, you want to make sure that you are asking the questions when you are initially going up to someone. Again, collars can have a significance. If you see a collar on, could be that they are collared to someone or self-collared. It is always a good question to ask. Obviously, consent is definitely first and foremost, but you always want to ask that question. Are you collared? Do I need to, who do I need to speak to? If they are not collared, do you mind if I give you some head scratches and belly rubs? It's usually always a yes, especially if you have Scooby snacks. A good way to get me is totally some Scooby snacks. And when I say Scooby snacks, I mean fruit snacks, Welchers, or anything under the sun of gummy snacks, I will gladly take. Another question, go ahead, sir.
No, I was going to say that we had another question from Joel, who asked, what's one of the biggest misunderstandings about pup play?
Ooh, what is the biggest misunderstanding? That all pets are submissives. I think we think as in human world, we think as our animals as submissives to us, which I think tends to be the case. But I think for pet play and pets as a persona in the leather BDSM world, not everyone is a submissive. We can have very dominant pets that are out there. So I think that is definitely a big misconception, is that not every pet is a submissive. So please do not treat every pet in such way. That's another one good too, that pets are only sexual. Again, as I mentioned before, sex does not have to be equated into pet or pup play at all. If it is, great. If it's not, that's great too. And definitely 100% shouting at the top of our lungs, do not touch gear without permission. Same thing, do not touch a collar without permission. There are so many times where people are going in for the kill and it's like, no touch. Not the collar, not the collar.
We also have a very good comment from Red Fox, who pointed out that Amazon is a good start for a hood if you want to try one out inexpensively.
Yeah,
without
and without breaking the bank. And shout out to all of the vendors that are at any vendor marks that we have that include pup gear and pup play supplies. We appreciate you. I really think that has such an intimate touch. That's actually how I found Spliffy, was actually at MAL last year. I had the opportunity to touch, feel, look at, see what fit, see what didn't fit. So having that ability to touch and to try out is definitely huge. And those vendors that provide a really safe experience, we appreciate you all so much for that.
excellent, excellent. Okay, so I think that is handles
Oh, I
all.
think I see one more. How does one become a community handler? Showing up is definitely the first step. Being interested is definitely the second step. Asking the questions is the third step. If you're going to an event and you see that a mosh is organized, go to that mosh, see what's going on, be a spectator. It's okay to kind of be in the background in the beginning to kind of observe, but then as you get more interested, talk to people, ask those questions. And if you are not the person that wants to get down on the mat and get down and dirty with the dogs, that's okay. We need those folks that are around us that that provide safety. So 100% just being active at these events, being present at these events, and showing your support at these events is huge ways on becoming community handlers for sure.
Yeah, one thing that I often do, if I'm somewhere and there's a pup mosh, I always enjoy them. And one thing that I like to do when I'm there is to make sure that no one is touching a pup without permission. No one is, doing anything that is untoward.
Mhm.
Often pups will get into a headspace where they are playing, they're having a good time. And just like if you take your dog to a dog park, you're kind of keeping an eye out just to make sure the dog is able
Mhm.
to play safely. You want to do the same thing at
Yep.
pup moshes, but not only with pups, with any pet. If someone identifies as a wolf or a bunny or a pony or any of that, no one should touch them without consent.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes people wait until pets are in their pet mode and feel like they can just go up and do that. As a dom in a house, I definitely um, agree with the do not touch a collar without permission um, element
We
of
know they're pretty, we know they look nice, but don't touch.
but don't. And as Max pointed out, and thank you, Max, you gave a few excellent comments, and thank you. Volunteering is a huge thing. So, if you see that there's an event and they're going to have some pet activities, feel free to volunteer for that. And as part of volunteering, ask the questions. What is it that I should be doing to ensure that this is a safe environment? And then doing those things is very, very important.
And
Um,
as a point of, if I may, just to that point, sir, and when we are volunteering at those spaces, be present while you are volunteering. It is so important that at a moment, a single glitch, a single person, a single element can come in and completely ruin the experience that is happening or that's being cultivated. So really being present, because don't get me wrong, when a mosh is going on, there is so much going on. And if you are one of those people where you're like a squirrel and you want to be in every direction, we need you in these spaces. Because like for myself, like I had mentioned before, I can I can be very switchy in my head. So if I'm seeing that there's a problem going on and I might not see that the mosh monitors are on it, I'm going to come out of my headspace and go try to make sure that something's protected, which then takes me out of my headspace. So again, we have these roles very specifically. So this way, when folks are in these headspaces, they have the authority to just be in those headspaces.
Well, the other thing I wanted to touch on a little bit more is the concept of service pups and service pets. I know people who get involved as a service pet who they aren't there for other pets. They're there for people to make sure that people, just like they might have a service pet with them to help them with emotional support and things of that nature, that they're doing the same thing. Can you talk about that just a little bit more?
Yeah. So prime example and shout out to our very own baby boy Bakari. The running joke is that I am his service pet. I am his service pup. Whenever we are at events, I am attached to that amazing little nugget that we have. Just making sure that he has a space to be safe in. He has the availability to interact. So it's very important that we have, just like with ASL interpreters, the fact that we need ways of communication to provide diverse populations with the experience we want to have, having those elements of service pets, having individuals that are there to provide foundational safety is important. I think for us, what we do as a house, and I think what we are most proud of is when we're out at events and folks see our patch, we hope that they know that that's a safe space, that they can walk up to any of us and feel that they can ask questions, or if they don't know anybody, they can now know somebody because they know that we want to provide a safe space. We want to incorporate folks into that. So having, service pets is important to really make any situation successful, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Switchblade, for this amazing presentation, and for just talking about an element of our community that is becoming much more prevalent and is becoming very important. And we're finding that pets do much more for the community than just take this moment to enter their own headspace. They really do contribute to the overall health of organizations and events and kink experiences. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to bring Boy Ogun back in just to make sure that there's nothing we missed or that we should handle as far as questions go, and then also with the information we're about to provide moving forward. Anything we missed, Ogun?
No, sir. I actually took a look through, and it seems like we've addressed every question.
Okay. Thank you, Ogun. I do not identify as a pet, but if I did, as evidenced by my favorite little squishmallow, Sharad, who is a shark, that is the animal with whom I believe I have the most in common. And those of you who really know me know that, like sharks, I have a very strong there's a very strong community aspect there, a protective element, a loving community aspect, and a very vicious aspect as well. So, coming up for 2024, we have one more event scheduled, and that is the second in our Can We Talk series with me and Sir Call Onyx, and that'll be on Net Sunday at 3 p.m. And you can watch that again via the House of Steel Facebook page or the House of Steel YouTube page. And on the House of Steel page, you can see all of the presentations we've done on Facebook, and on our YouTube page you can see those in addition to some of the in-person classes that we've done and presentations as well on our YouTube page. You can also follow us on Instagram at House of Steel, and that is the best way to know where we're going to be so you can interact with us in person and get to know members of the House of Steel as well. And yes, Matt, another element of me identifying with sharks, I do flag houndstooth on both sides. And so you can get a bite when you need it. Thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you all very soon. In the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying this holiday season no matter what you celebrate. We hope that you're finding it to be a season of love and community and support and joyfulness. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And thank you all for joining us and have a wonderful Sunday.